Hi, you've reached the Talking Race Walking podcast. It's all about race walking, of course. It's talking to race walkers from around the world about race walking. Join me, Noel Payne, a amateur race walker in Canada, as I talk to elites, Olympians, record holders, masters walkers, and anybody who's out walking as fast as they can. Hi, so this is a section where I'd actually be talking to someone, a race walker. So this is where you can come in. If you know a race walker, you're a race walker, and you have an amazing story, I want to hear from you. So reach out, let's chat, let's get walking and talking. Welcome, everyone. It's another episode of Talking Race Walking, and race walking, it encompasses walking as well. I mean, I'm an advocate for walking as a sport in terms of race walking, but I'm also quite happy to promote just people getting out to walk, the power walk, to Nordic walk, because the more people we have walking, the more people that might actually jump in to try race walking. And I'm an advocate for all of those. And this channel, although it is, like I say, race walking, I'm going to be talking to folks that aren't always keeping that leg straight. So I have the privilege right now of having someone from across the pond, as we say here in Canada, who has a program, has a passion for walking as well. The program is called WalkActive, and her name is Joanna Hall. Welcome.
Oh, thank you, Noel. It is a real joy to be here on your podcast. So thanks so much for having me. Yes, I am across the pond in jolly old London. Well, yeah, UK, just outside of London.
I love it. As we discussed before we jumped on the podcast, I have some UK roots, so we'll have to coordinate a meet on one side of the pond or the other. So
yeah, no, definitely. I would love that. I would love that.
Very much so. So let's get into this. So I just said WalkActive. Joanna, tell me what that is. What are you doing for walking? What is this WalkActive thing? Tell me what this is.
Okay, thank you. So my background is in sports science. I'm a fitness educator of over 3 decades in the global fitness industry. And essentially, WalkActive helps people walk better, which may sound a very simple term, but essentially we all walk wrong. And again, that may sound a little bit contentious because in theory we would be walking from roughly about 14 months of age. But unfortunately, we tend to walk suboptimally. And the actual recruitment pattern to help us get from point A to point B, even though we travel from point A to point B, very often because of muscular imbalances that we have, the lifestyle that we lead, which is for the vast majority of us, unlike you know, sedentary when we're sitting down a lot or driving our car, and also our own personal story. Maybe we've had an injury, maybe we've had operations, maybe we've got leg length discrepancy, maybe we've got our own personal story, which we've gone through menopause or trauma. But the combination of those 3 things means that when actually we go to walk, we walk suboptimally. We're not utilizing our muscles correctly. And that can manifest itself in us not actually being as fit as we can be through walking, as getting the physiological health improvements like managing our blood pressure, our cholesterol levels, our mental well-being as well. So WalkActive is a method, the correct alignment through the body, so every single step becomes effective. And really, we've worked extensively. So we have thousands of people who've gone through our fundamental 14-day program, and it's been scientifically proven to improve your posture and significantly reduce joint strain at the knee and the ankle, and also help us walk up to 24% faster, which is where you might be interested. Yes. So that's really what WalkActive is. It's about helping people walk better, whether you are walking for enjoyment, fitness, for your mental well-being, or actually we have people who've done the walkout method because they actually want to get faster in their race walking.
I love it. And whether it's the motto or slogan, walk better, live better. I love that. And that makes sense
You know
what
what?
you described.
Yeah, do you know what? And I feel really strongly because very often when you say to people, well, I teach people to walk, and it does sound a bit like, are you kidding me? Why do I need to be taught how to walk? But actual fact, if you think about, maybe watching Roger Federer, the tennis player who serves beautifully, you might watch, an amazing runner, Carl Lewis sprint. You might see, one of your amazing race walkers. They make it look effortless, but we know actually there's a lot of effort going in. But what we see physically has an element of grace, it has an element of significant, amazing performance, but there's also a deep element of joy there.
Yep.
And they're doing that because they're actually having practice and using right technical skills, right drills. So their bodies are actually utilizing the right muscles in the right way, at the right time, and in the right sequence for their particular sporting activity. The challenge is when we actually go to put one foot in front of the other, we actually don't utilize our right muscles and we don't use them in the right way or at the right time or right sequence. So it may sound a bit contentious, but if you think about it, if we want to improve a tennis serve or a golf drive or our breaststroke or front crawl, we appreciate those skills that we can learn. But when we think about fundamentally walking, we tend to be dismissive about it. So many people may have tried a walking program. Many people may have been runners and actually don't think I'm going to get that runner's high that I really wanted through from walking. But actually, in fact, if we are intelligent about it and connect with the correct recruitment pattern, it can be deeply meaningful for improving your health and your fitness and your performance, but also, I think, importantly, a joy of walking. And at a time when maybe as a society we can feel a little bit constrained or trying to reinvent the wheel sometimes with more and more complicated ways of improving our health and well-being and general wellness.
No, I love that. I like to, I mean, for a number of projects right now where I've been focusing on keeping things simple. I think sometimes, uh,
Yes.
we've got walking and as a very, it's a basic locomotive action that we all do, but we
Yeah.
we tend not to think of it as we're like, oh, I need to buy all this equipment to stay in shape, and I need this and that when we could be you utilizing, walking. Get out there and
Yeah.
walk. We don't have to like buy a $5,000 pass to the gym and everything else. There's something we can do that's quite simple to look
Yeah.
better, to feel better. And I also want to mention that you've got the right audience for talking about technique and technical things because there might be some walkers listening here, but I mean, anybody that's gotten into race walking, it is a little bit different than just regular walking or running because there is a technique to
Yeah.
learn. There's
Yeah.
new muscle groups that are just kind of engaged that you don't use as much for walking and running. So a lot of this audience will understand in terms of talking about technique or how to improve things and how little tweaks in your technique can improve efficiency and smoothness and everything else. So that
It,
makes sense to our audience.
yeah. I think it's deeply powerful. And I can say, Noel, I've honestly, as the creator and founder of it, I have found it deeply humbling with the number of people that we have coached and who go through our program. And I didn't set out to create the WalkActive method. It came about because actually I was
You're stealing
pregnant.
my question. You're stealing my question. So
Oh,
yes,
am I? Oh, okay, go, go.
I'm
Sorry,
kidding.
I'm
I'm
back.
kidding.
Okay.
Okay, so I'll ask you. So how did this come about,
Such
Joanna?
banter. We just had such banter before we went live on the podcast. I'm so
It's all good.
like,
No, this is perfect to lead in. So yeah, how did this come about? Like what spurred on this thing?
okay, so I've always been very passionate about movement and about technique and alignment. And that's always been kind of like an undercurrent of everything that I've done within my work and the books and television programs I've presented, etc. Anyway, what happened was 18 years ago, I had a really bad bout of abdominal discomfort. But at the time, I was 11 weeks pregnant with my daughter, or I was pregnant anyway. And it had been a sequence of over about 5 years. Every like 11 months or so, I would have this really bad pain. And it was quite formulaic with how it manifested in discomfort in my body and violently sick for a few days, etc. Anyway, never got to the bottom of it. And then the same symptoms happen when I'm 11 weeks pregnant. So I get rushed to hospital. Cut a long story short, we have to sign a form that we could lose our baby. And I'm coming out of the operating theatre, coming out of my wooziness, and my husband's at the end of my bed speaking to the surgeon, who is apologizing quite profusely to my husband to say, your wife is actually going to be really sore because the appendix was retrocecal. It was really inverted. We had to go in 3 times to find it, and we've had a good old rummage. We think the baby is going to be okay, but we're not sure. But it's going to take her quite a long time to recover. And
Wow.
obviously, as a sports scientist, I knew, okay, it wasn't keyhole surgery. I've got 3 lovely big scars on my abdominals, and but hopefully that scar tissue is going to heal. But at the same time, we're going to hopefully have a big belly developing with a lovely, healthy baby inside.
Yeah.
So I knew, as a sports scientist, gosh, I'm really potentially setting myself up here for a lot of postural problems, joint discomfort, at a time when I was also going through personally a lot of change,
Yeah.
transition change from a personal perspective, family perspective, commercial perspective, running my own business. So there was a lot of kind of focus on I need my body to be fit and strong and not let me down, and obviously bring hopefully a new wonderful life into the world, and I could feel good about it as well. So it came from a very personal space, a real
No,
personal
completely.
space.
As a fellow
And
parent, I understand the shifts that those kind of
yeah,
things can bring. Yeah.
yeah. And so I was looking for something that was going to fit for me, that I was going to have to find something that fitted with my life, but also be fit and strong because I'm a physical person. But I don't want to spend all hours of the day. So yeah, it came from a personal space, and then I started to teach clients, and clients were like, "Wow, this is really good. Can you, give us more?" So it grew organically to the point that I had international clients doing our early stage online program. I wrote a book which was actually translated into 4 different languages, and
Wow.
then was at Amazon #1. And then we created the app and the whole learning program from people who really wanted to walk better. So I have to say, I feel deeply humbled by the journey and being able to reach out and have these kind of conversations with yourself, where you have such an engaged audience who love the sport, but we are so open and receptive to the power of being able to walk better,
Yeah.
whatever that means. And I firmly believe that, and I say, we don't tell people to walk more. That's not what WalkActive is about. But what we do is that we coach you to walk better through life. And I think that's a really great way to look at it, because it is something that we can all do, and we can do it right through our whole life. And it is like the blueprint of our life. If you think of moments that you look back over your past week, Noel, and you think about when you've had moments of joy, those moments of joy, you've probably enjoyed those moments of joy, but to get to those places where you've had those moments of joy, you've probably got there on 2 feet. You've walked. So it's like the blueprint of everything that we do. So why wouldn't you want to do it to the best of your ability? Whether that's a race walker, whether that's actually just your commute to work, whether that's actually walking your dog, it can be deeply transformational and powerful. And it's just wonderful to connect with people who have an open mind to the ability of how we can move our bodies better through walking.
I love that because I came from also a background. I started in what's called pedorthics, so making orthotics and lower leg assessments. So that's kind of where my head was a few years back. And I always noticed that one of the things people tend to neglect are often the things that we count on
Yes.
most, but
Yes.
ignore. Like I would see people with those dried out hard feet, or you use them to go everywhere. You use them to walk, you use them to stand, you use them to go to work, you do everything with them, but you tend to ignore or neglect them. You just
Yes.
assume your feet and legs and everything aren't going to work. So I am all for this in terms of let's use something we take for granted and improve it. And you want to be able to walk throughout your life, and the better you do it, the more efficiently will give you the option of walking more if you want to, walking competitively if you want to, or
Correct.
just walking and gaining health throughout your life. So yeah, I
Yes.
I love it. So we've moved from that. Now I want you to tell me without giving away the full secrets, because I know you also do, courses and stuff on this. So don't give away, the Kentucky Fried Chicken recipe, but but what are the 11 herbs and spices of WalkActive? What is it? What is it?
Okay, I'll give you four 4 key recipes.
Okay.
Essentially, the WalkActive method relates to 4 parts of the body of how we use our feet, our hips, our head and shoulders and our arms. And essentially, we go through an educational program of getting us to stop the incorrect movement pattern, which predominantly is stimulated because we don't use the posterior chain of the body. So the WalkActive method helps us utilize the fascia chain. So through the posterior chain, so we actually allow a lot more hip extension. And through that, we actually reduce the action of the hip flexor. So it minimizes the pressure through the actual front loading of the knee and of the ankles. And we've worked with Professor Darren James of South Bank Sports Performance Laboratory, and that their research, their independent research, showed that the actual 4 parts of how we use our feet, our hips, our head and shoulders, and our arms through the specific methodology of the fascia connection with the WalkActive will significantly improve your posture compared to our matched group, because we had a control group who was still doing the same quantity of walking, and that's the important thing of this research. The study also showed that over 4 weeks, there was a significant improvement in posture with participants utilizing the WalkActive method compared to our group who are equally matched with the same amount of walking. And importantly, that the walking speed increased by up to 24% compared to our normal walking group. So it's about utilizing a lot more through the posterior chain. So you've got a lot of your hip extensor muscles utilizing you to give you that propulsion forward, so that you actually minimize the pull, which reduces the pressure on the loading on the hip and on the knee and on the ankle. And for the general participant who may be fearful or actually going through a point of actually, I'm uncomfortable about my posture, I sit down a lot, I like the idea of walking, but I have a lot of joint concerns, maybe going through menopause. I know that's a big issue for many, many women. It really actually gives you that positive connection with your body, an element of building your bone density without jarring your joints. So it's effective.
No,
It's
I
effective.
love that. And yeah, the lower impact is it's definitely a thing. I mean, my background was in running.
Mm,
And it's funny now, occasionally when I'll go out for a run, it's really emphasized, it's really brought clear to me how much of a difference of impact there is.
yes.
It's not a bad thing. It's just that's the difference. There is more impact when you run, and when you're walking,
Yes.
you're not coming off the ground as much. So there is definitely that. And I must mention that there's probably a whole bunch of race walking geeks right now who are drooling because we're going all technical, and this is cool. I love this. You talk about, I'm going to dive into this just because race walking is
Yeah.
competitive.
No, I love it. I'm all ears. Let's do it.
Yeah,
I'm rolling.
exactly.
Papers.
So
I'm ready. I'm
you talked
ready.
about a 24% increase. So I'm interested when your walkers are out there. I know most of them aren't race walking.
Yeah.
What kind of pace do you find? Like, what are people? How fast are people walking, or how fast can they walk once they've improved? Like, do you see that kind
Okay.
of like,
Yeah.
oh, they're going
So,
from
so yeah. So can I start by answering this question this way, if it's okay?
you are
So
allowed to do anything you want.
thank you. So with the WalkActive method, everything comes out of your technique. Your technique is your number one priority. Your
Ooh,
pace.
you've already won over us.
Okay, your pace is secondary. Okay, your pace is secondary. So whatever pace outcome you get is a consequence of your technique. So when you learn the WalkActive method, you go through the 14-day program of how you use your feet, your hips, your head and shoulders, and your arms. So that's like your gold standard. That's your foundational steps. When you're then looking to improve your cardiovascular fitness with the WalkActive method, we then start to talk about the pace formula. So the pace formula is a function of 3 things. It's a function of your technique, it's a function of your stride length, and it's a function of your cadence. And within the WalkActive methodology, we talk about cadence as steps per minute. Okay. So the reason why I talk about steps per minute is because a lot of the available sports science relating to specific health outcomes for individuals, whether it's blood pressure, cholesterol management, or cause mortality, is relating to steps per minute. And there's research by Tudor Lock, who is kind of like the grand dame of walking research for health, who actually has shown that we need to be doing a minimum of 100 steps per minute to actually incur a physiological health improvement, blood pressure, the blood markers, etc. And her research has shown that going up to about 130 seems to be the sweet spot. Now, I appreciate that I'm talking to your audience and your guys will be going, oh my God, that's really, really slow. But when you actually look at it in the context of your technique, then your stride length increases. And then that is the third element of that formula. And most people, as a general rule of thumb, if they're thinking about trying to walk for fitness, the first thing they will do is speed up their legs. Now, I'm not saying, I don't want to upset your audience, but if an individual has incorrect movement technique and they purely go by speeding up the legs, that actually exacerbates increased recruitment pattern through the hip flexor, which then leads to lower back discomfort and then exertional pressure on the knees. And if you're looking at the general public and how people want to actually have a meaningful impact on their health, to be able to continue having more fun with their grandchildren, to be able to have more joy with their current children, to have that vitality and that energy and that strength in their body, the actual fundamental technique is important. So that pace formula of technique, stride length, and then cadence is really important. So coming back to your question, what pace can people get? We get individuals who will regularly walk 5K in sub 45 minutes.
Well, and that's good. And the other thing I want to emphasize it too is a lot of the race walkie audience. We have our elites here, Evan Dumfies and who are doing sub 20-minute 5Ks, that type of thing. But a
I
lot
know,
of
and Evan, I love him. I comment and I keep saying, Evan, I'm loving your technique, man.
he's exceptionally smooth. He is. But the other thing I want to emphasize too is a lot of our race walking audience is actually those that supporting the sport who are recreational or even older
Yes.
race walkers. So this will make sense to them because a lot of can't get to that insane cadence that the elites
Yes.
are at. So it's
Yeah.
all about trying to maximize their cadence and their turnover and their stride length to get what they can because you lose hip mobility, you lose strength as you get older too. So this all makes sense.
Yeah, so there's a couple of phrases that we talk about, and we have a certification program for health professionals and coaches to be able to become certified to teach the WalkActive method. But there's a couple of concepts, and one of them is we talk about stability without rigidity. So you want to create stability around the hip area. So an individual can go into full hip extension with the alignment of eccentric contraction to the hamstrings to then utilize the glutes. So then you get the right muscles working in the right time, the right sequencing. And it's the subtlety of that, which you've just said about Evan Dunphy, it creates that smoothness.
Yep.
I think what's so exciting about this is absolutely anybody and everybody can walk better. So it's almost like we talk about like the WalkActive wow. Like people go past when they're doing WalkActive, it's like, wow, how do they achieve that? And it's because it looks effortless,
Yep.
but inside there's actually quite a lot of effort going on, but there's grace, there's fluidity, and the actual center of gravity that you have within your body is more or less along the same line,
Yep.
but then you have the muscles being utilized in the right way at the right time to create this smooth, fluid propulsion. And I think what's interesting from the science perspective is that coming back to your point about cadence, is that from a science perspective, walking at different cadences has been shown to have different implications on your cognition. So obviously, if you want to actually be creative and problem solve, walking at a slower cadence, generally between 100 to 110, has been shown to be much more beneficial and conducive to problem solve and to actually have creative thought rather than actually if you're walking at higher cadences. So I think this is really exciting.
Mm-hmm.
And something for us to relish and to, yeah, get excited
I,
about it. What do you
I,
think?
I love that because I mean I've done as I got more into race walking from moving from a runner, I have done all the paces of walking. I've walked 100K for my birthday. I've
Wow.
but same thing. There's kind of like that 10-minute per kilometer pace.
Yeah.
It's different than race walking at 9 minutes per kilometer.
Yeah.
And then I've noticed as well that when your technique does improve, like I said, I think we talked beforehand, I did 10K at 7:30 pace,
Yeah.
not race walking, but just a fast walk for me.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
that's only enabled by when you work on your technique and make it smooth.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
that becomes a workout as opposed to say a slower paced one where we have some time to think, and it's different.
Yeah. And I think there's a real, well, I would encourage anybody and everybody to fundamentally challenge the way we think about walking. I think that I'm on a mission, and maybe we can have like hashtag walking is the new sexy, Noel. What do you reckon?
I like it.
Hashtag walking is the new sexy, because seriously, it can tick so many boxes from your brain health, your mental well-being. And I am big into posture and alignment because I think posture is so neglected, and the impact it has on the mobility of the body to stimulate the fascia chain through the elastic qualities. And that what gives an individual an element of vitality and youthfulness. And can I say command when you
Yep.
walk into a room? Because I think there is an element that you you can create a persona around yourself that invites people to connect with you, and you can create a persona around you that actually invites things to happen to you and just to be more positive. And a lot of that can be how we actually fundamentally move our body, and connect those dots of where we may invest in our rehab and we go to the physio and do those rehab sessions, or we may go to the track and we do those dedicated training sessions. But actually it's the blueprint of running through all of that
Yep.
that has an opportunity to be really exciting for everybody.
Joanna, I've really enjoyed this conversation. I think I'm gonna after this as well. I'm gonna try and connect you with some folks over on this side of the pond, as we call it. We've got Tim Barrett, who's a five-time Olympian, who has a walking champions program where it's also more about walking as opposed to just race walking. So I think there's a movement out there to bring back walking and promote it as something that isn't just something you can, it's not an activity that you have to be an elite. It's not something you have to go out and
Oh,
if you can't run, you can still walk. It's
yeah.
just it's the viewpoint of opening that up and seeing it as a fitness activity more and potentially a sport. I think there's so much potential for this.
Absolutely. Well, first of all, thank you. And I'm going to be looking out for that hashtag walking is the new sexy. Okay, everybody who's listening to this, hashtag is the walking is sexy and the walk active method. Love it. But I really do think there is, it is the easiest, most simple, globally accessible, culturally inclusive
Yep.
form of movement for anybody and everybody, and how it can actually engage us and bring us together as for our global community, whatever that may mean. I think is deeply joyful. So thank you so much for inviting me and reaching out. And yes, please, I'd love to. And if anybody wants to reach out to me personally or ask us questions, because you reached out to me through Instagram, didn't you,
I
Noel?
did.
And so I appreciate that. But if I may say so, my website is walkactive.com. And I'm Joanna Hall, and it's just been really grateful. I'm going to look out for those hashtags.
I will do, and I will make sure everyone that I put the information on how to contact Joanna on social media and her website in the podcast when this goes out. So look for it in the notes, and we'll try and provide other information as well in terms of a little bit about WalkActive. So it's been a pleasure. Thank you very much, and everyone tune in for another podcast coming soon, and we'll see where we're going from there.
That's great. Thank you so much, Noel. I really have enjoyed chatting to you. Thank you.
No problem. Take care. That's it, folks. The end of the podcast. No walkers have been harmed in the recording of this podcast. And of course, at the moment, we have no sponsors or supporters at this point to fund all this amazing podcasting. But if you're out there and have a race walk company that produces some sort of race walk apparel product or something you think race walkers would love, get hold of us. We'd love to have you on board. Give us a holler.